And so if you can all go to your desktop, I'm going to show you, let me get down in here so I can show you how to do it. If you go to your desktop, and if you're using Internet Explorer or Chrome, if you find your icon and highlight it and right-click it, you'll just delete that icon. Hit the delete button. Again, this is for your employee login, not your supervisor login. So let's go ahead and everybody delete that icon. Is go to Performance Payroll, and that website is www.performancepayroll.com. And if you'll all go to that, while we'll wait on you to get there. Again, it's www.performancepayroll.com. It's right up here on the screen. When you're there, come down to the white block where it says Performance Time. And you want to click on Employee Login. The first clock in that you come to right here is where you can simply clock in and clock out like you used to do. I want you to click on Time Card in the gray box, and now you're at the web portal. Oh, hold on. Okay. Okay, so is everybody at the screen where it says Employee Self-Service Portal? This is what is the new login. Even though the connection is new, your employee username and password will remain the same. So mine is first initial last name, and then whatever you've changed your password to, you will use the same one you've always used. Sorry, let me back up. I got distracted. Okay, so when you're here in the gray area, right-click, and if you're an Internet Explorer, if that's your web browser, when you right-click, there'll be a thing that says Create Shortcut, and you'll click on that, and a shortcut will be automatically created. I'm in Chrome, and so I have to bookmark it. But if you're an Internet Explorer, it'll say Create Login. When you do that, we'll go back. It'll come back on, you know, looking like Time Clock Web Portal, or it'll say Time and Attendance. Your icon will be on your desktop. Has everybody gotten there? Does anybody have any questions about that before we move on?
Can you do it again? Yes, if you log on to performancepayroll.com, where do you go after that?
Sure. Let's back up. Performancepayroll.com. Come right here where it says Performance Time and click on Employee Login. And you'll come to this one, and then you're going to hit the time card in the gray block, or the bar, and then you'll come to the portal. And then you can right-click in the gray and create a shortcut. So you're going to go to your username and password, as we said, that you've always used as an employee. Right now we're in as an employee, not a supervisor. And so this is what's called the web portal. You all will see the exact same things on the left. The dashboard is right here. It's going to tell you total hours worked. Are you missing any punches? Has your supervisor edited your time card and how many times? Do you have any pending time off requests that your supervisor has not done? And do you have any notes on your time card for this pay period? Okay, so they're just kind of quick statistics. To clock in and clock out, you can come to the web clock. Clock in just like you normally do.
Hold on for a minute, Catherine.
Sure. Okay, so you go to web clock, you hit clock in, submit, then you pick the departments and the team just like you're used to doing. Then you hit submit and you are clocked in. In the earlier session, someone asked, what about the swipe card? If they're using the swipe card, they will just swipe it like they always do, and they will automatically go to the new version. So to an employee, everything should be identical. Once they get that new link on their desktop, they will have no clue what, going into the different systems if they do the swipe clock or they clock in. Okay, so that should be pretty good for them. The one thing that you can come over here to your time card. You can view your time card. Okay. There are 2 levels of security for an employee. Those that can edit their own time card and those that cannot. And Sandra will do that on employee setup. She will she'll give the security rights. This person has the ability to edit their own time card. So if they edit, they can come in here and click edit, and maybe they didn't work 10 hours, maybe they only worked 8, and they can save it. Or if they need to add a punch, they can come down here and add and simply put how many hours, or they're in and out, whichever one they prefer to do. So they could do an in and an in and an out and hit save. Okay? They also can change. Everything's going to be automatically done to their main department, but they can choose it too. They can select a job by the drop down. I'll put a number in if they want to. Okay? So you can edit it here. To edit a missing punch, you simply click edit and you put in the time that they were supposed to clock out and then hit save. In the new system, everything you do has history. It will say Catherine Daniels did it from this IP address at this time on this day and what I changed it to. Okay? So that was a new record. If I come up here, it's going to show that there was a new, there was a new record, and then I changed it again to 8. If I use my swipe card, it's going to say that. If I use the web, it's going to put the IP address. If I delete something, the history is going to be there. So every punch remains in the system, even though it may not be visible. So there's a lot of reporting.
Catherine, let me chime in for a minute. When they put their time in, they're not just to put the hours in. They need to put in and out punches.
Okay.
Like if they came in at 8, they need to put 8 o'clock. If they leave at 5, they need to put in 5. Not just put 8 hours and just go on.
Perfect. Okay. The 2 new things in this system also are these pencils and these little heads. The pencils is a way to correspond with your supervisor. So earlier I put a note in here that said I had to leave for doctor's appointment, and the supervisor emailed me back or marked back, okay, I have it down. I can put another one, maybe on Thursday, or let's do it on Friday. On Friday, and saying, I am not, I'm not yelling, I am not coming in Friday due to ice. Okay? And so that'll know, you can put it ahead of time so they know. You can put it behind, maybe something you did, or I missed a punch. I actually left at 11:15. Can you fix my punch? That type of thing. So it's just a way to correspond. Then the yellow heads, if you hover over that, it says needs supervisor approval. Data has changed since being previously approved. What had happened was that time was approved. You can see if it's approved, it's in green. If it's not approved, it's in yellow. That time had been approved, but I just made an edit. And so because I made an edit, it unapproved it, and it tells you that. Okay, so if you hover over one that's been approved, it says supervisor approved by Catherine. So that as a supervisor, I went in and approved this time card for the employee. So I've made 2 edits, or 3 edits, so I can come in and just pick, or the supervisor will go in and just highlight those 3 on their view and approve them, but they now know that something's been changed since the last time they looked at it. Okay? Again, as an employee, I can come down here and I can see every time I look at my time card, as of the end of that pay period, see it's 2/14, I have 61 hours of PTO left. I've already asked for 8 hours in the future, and it's been approved. So in reality, I really only have 53 hours available to request off. This is all live data, okay? It's very easy to understand. If I'm an employee that does not have the ability to edit my time card, this entire column is gone. and then everything will just be view. You won't be able to change anything. Okay? The next thing, any questions on the time card before I move on? Someone just asked me, when I log onto the new system, it is asking me to change my password. Is this normal? And yes, that is normal. Sometimes the first time you get in there when you go into the web portal. One point while I'm here, you guys can go ahead and change this URL and get to this new site, but you cannot make any edits here. You can clock in and clock out, and you can use the swipe clock, but if you are going to be manually putting time on your time card, you need to do that the old way until next Tuesday. Okay? The process of what this is going to happen is we are using the old system through this current pay period, which is the 14th. Sandra you all will do all you need to do to edit punches, to fix missing punches, to do everything you do at the end of a normal pay period. She will clean it all up on Monday. We're going to ask you to stay out of the supervisor view specifically all day Tuesday, and then when we will flip the switch, and then you'll be able to do everything. What happens is when you clock in and clock out, or when you swipe you swipe your card in or out, it's going to go to both systems. If you edit anything in one system, it will not flow to the other system. So if you edit in the new system, the old system won't see it, or if you edit in the old system, the new system won't see it. Does that make sense to everybody? Sandra, does that make sense to you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So just don't, if you can go clock in and clock out through here, it's not a problem, but do not make edits. Don't edit any of this because it won't come through. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is the time off request. This is new. It's been in our payroll system until now, and now we're going to be able to request it electronically through this website. So you can come here to time off request. Again, this is as an employee. If any employee cannot remember how to do it, there are very easy step-by-step instructions right here that explains what everything means, and it's 1 through 6 on exactly how to request a time off. So it's a great place where they can walk you through it. If you want to add a new request, you simply flip on this arrow. I can see as an employee I have 61 hours still available. It's the same thing that came off my time card, 8 hours planned off in the future, so I really only have 53 hours left. It's paid time off. You will use paid time off whether it's vacation or sick. It's combined. So whether you're having a sick day or whether a vacation day, it's still going to be called paid time off. I'm going to pick a date out in March, 8 hours. Going to the beach. You do have to put a description. You all can decide on how detailed it needs to be. If you just want vacation day or put sick in there, it doesn't matter. It just has to have something in the description. Right here it says the following people will receive a notification of this time off request. Your immediate supervisor will get an email notification saying Catherine Daniels has requested time off. It is simply a notification. They cannot do anything from that email. If you also want to send the email to any of these people, you can select them and they will get the email, but you don't have to send it to them. And then you're going to hit Save Request, and the request will be sent. You can then automatically see that went into pending status. Here's the one I just asked off for. Okay. I asked this one off, but it never got approved. I never really took it, and it's expired, meaning I've already bypassed that date. And so I can simply exit out as an employee and say I'm not requesting that anymore. The only time an employee has the ability to change or can't. Sorry. Okay. So the only time an employee can cancel something on their own is if it's in pending status, and you can see they have the ability to cancel it. If it's in approved status, when I click here, you notice they can't do anything. Or I don't have a rejected one, but if it's in rejected, they can't do anything. So the only thing that they can do after the request is if they say, okay, I'm not going to take that time off. My supervisor never approved it yet, and so I can go cancel it. If they have already requested it, their supervisor has approved it, they must call or send an email to their supervisor to say, please delete this approved request, or please change this approved request. Okay? You can go down here and look at approved. You can see what day it is, what hours, what, if there's any comments, who approved it, what supervisor approved it. It all comes here, okay? Conditionally approved, if something comes in there, that means that you have requested for something, but the supervisor changed it somehow. It becomes a conditionally approved, because then you need to check off on what the supervisor changed. So, for example, say that you asked off for these 8 hours on February 12th, and the supervisor wrote back, it's approved, but only for 4 hours because we don't have enough coverage that day. That request would go into a conditionally approved, so that you would go in and say, I've seen this, I agree. They don't want a supervisor to change it without the employee being notified of the change. And then, of course, rejected means your request has been rejected. What's going to be in this view, whether you're a supervisor or employee, is the previous pay period, the current pay period, and any request in the future. If it's not one of those, then you go run a accruals report or a time off request report to see past data. And that's just so that this doesn't get to be so long that you can't get through it all. So it's what's in this view screen is previous pay period, current pay period, or any requests that are already out there in the future. Does anybody have any questions about this?
Catherine, let me ask a question in
Sure.
reference to the PTO time. If an employee requests 8 hours of PTO and the supervisor or the manager approves the 8 hours of PTO, and then somewhere along the line during that week they see that that person really did not need the entire 8 hours of PTO for whatever reason, can you explain to them how they can go in and make that change? Like, let's say they want to change from 8 hours to 6 hours.
As an employee or as a supervisor?
As a supervisor.
Okay, can we hold off on that until we get in the supervisor view?
Okay.
And then, yes, I'll be glad to show that. Because there's two ways. It's a very good point, and there's two ways we can do it. And I'll show you both ways. So make a note of that, and we'll make sure we get that when we get there. Any questions about an employee requesting time off? Okay. The next thing we're going to go to is accruals report, and this should eliminate a employees constantly coming to you to find out how many hours do I have off, when did I use it, this is not correct. They can pick any date range, okay? They can go out into the future. They can go in the past. It doesn't matter. So they can pick any date range and run a report. And it's going to tell them very clearly on one form, I earned 80 hours of PTO. I took a day on the 20th. I took a day on the 27th. I took a day on February 12th. I earned more on 2/14, and then I took another day on 3/15. So it is, they can very, very clearly see why their balance is what it is without having to call you guys and say, my balance isn't right. Now, granted, if they didn't take it and there needs to be an adjustment, that's fine, but it's very clear to them what they've taken. And then the last section is just personal information. Simply, this is what's in the time clock. They can just look at it. If they need to make an adjustment, they can contact their supervisor. And then if they want to change their password, this is where they would change their password. Okay? Any questions about the employee web portal and where the employees will go to clock in and out, or where they will go to request time off? On a side note, I probably will turn this off so they can't do anything in here until Monday, and then I'll turn it back on so that we don't have people trying to do stuff that will mess things up. Okay?
Hey, Richard.
Sandra, anything before I move on?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, with that being said, let's then go to your supervisor login. And again, this will be no change to you. You will use your same username and password. I'm going to go in as me because some of your supervisors aren't in the new system. Y'all can't get to it yet. So you'll use your same saved icon on your desktop. You do not have to change it. You will use your same username and password that you've always used, okay? And when you come in, it's going to look a little bit different.
Okay, not a problem. I'll give her all that.
Okay, somebody just asked a question. For today, do we use the new or the old system to clock out, considering we clocked in using the old system? You were going to clock in and clock out in the old system. You can do that with this new URL without a problem. You're just going to do it from, we'll show you real quick, from this right here. You'll clock in and clock out, or you can go to where we were here and clock in and clock out. As long as you're clocking in and clocking out, you're fine from either place. It's going to go to both things. What you can't do is edit anything. If you edit anything, it's in the old system. Does that make sense? Any questions? Someone just said my information is wrong as far as my supervisor and hire date. We can get that fixed. Sandra and I will go through all those, but if you want to email me, you can do that and let me know what they are. That was Amanda. Okay, so we're in here in the system. It looks a little bit different, but it's the same information. This dashboard was added. It's going to give you a quick look of how many of your employees are clocked in, how many you have are active, how many time off requests that you need to address, how many missing punches do you need to address. Are there any unmatched punches? You know, does somebody's swipe card not match anything in the system? That's the dashboard. You see you've got 3 time off requests here. You also show here. So as a supervisor, we're in as a supervisor. Again, you have instructions on how to approve and disapprove or reject and everything to do. It's going to show you if you forget. It's right there for you. You can see there's 3 requests. A couple people are doing some requests. We'll go look at mine here. If you just go down the arrow, you see it's paid time off. It's for Friday the 28th. It's for 8 hours. I do have 64 hours left. This is very important as a supervisor. If they run out of time, you'll know here. You can approve or reject. If you reject, you have to have a comment. I don't think you have to have a comment if you approve it. Let's look. It's approving the request, okay? So now I can go down to approved. I can see that these 3 have been approved. Maybe I realized, you know, he can't really be gone twice in 1 month, so I'm going to delete. I'm going to reject this one. When you reject it, you have to put a note, too many days in 1 month. Not that that would ever be a reason, but okay, so now you see I've got 1 that's rejected. It's red. I have 2 that are approved that are green and 2 white that are in pending status. Okay. To Sandra's point earlier, what if now, one option would be, what if I changed my mind and I wanted them to be able to take this day? I can go here and hit the green check, and it will put it automatically in the approval status and remove it from rejected. So that's one way to change. The other way to change is once it's been approved, notice I don't have the ability to change anything here, right? The way you would change it after it's been approved is go to the actual date. So you can come here to today's entries. We'll go to February 12th for Daniels. Let's go find Kevin Daniels, her time card. We'll go to the 12th and notice that it has modify or add. Doesn't really have edit, it has modified. So if I modified, I didn't take 8, I only took 4, I can change that to 4 and said only took half a day and hit save. So that's how you would modify a time that's already been approved and put on the time card. Does everybody see that? Okay, somebody's asked a question. As a supervisor, I never log in under my employee login. Will I be able to request time off when I am logged in as a supervisor? This is one change that is being made, and it makes it a little bit easier on Sandra's side. But now, when you go to your supervisor login, you will no longer see yourself. You will only see your employee. So you will supervise under one login, and you will handle yourself under another login, which would be the employee login. And that's where you would manage your own time card, where you would actually put in your own request. All would be through that employee login. So you're going to be in 2 different places. Catherine Daniels as an employee and Catherine Daniels as a supervisor. Okay? One thing that I talked to the group earlier today about is everybody should use the time off request to request time off. No supervisor should put time on their own time card. And that's just so that the system can work the way it should work, and there's a trail, and that, the reporting will all be accurate. So, and I think Sandra agreed. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So that we want it to be all through that system. Mainly supervisors can modify, and that's the way you want it. You really you don't want to be modifying your own PTO. And that was just a question. You want your supervisor. And the thing in this system is everything that's done has a history. We talked about that on the employee side, but it definitely has it on the supervisor side. So you can see Catherine Daniel changed hours to 4 with my comments. So everything that's changed, it's going to tell what login changed it. Okay?
Catherine, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
I know in the old system, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the ones that have supervisor rights, they can go in and modify their time, edit their time and stuff like that. Because I thought I heard you say something like you have to go from one system to the next. The supervisor's on the one login, the manage, and then another login you manage yourself. Another login. And here's my question, and maybe I've already asked you this, I don't know. The ones that have supervisor login rights, can they stay under the same login, which is the supervisor login, or they still have to go through the other login to manage themselves?
Today, they have to go through another login to manage themselves, because they've got to get to that web portal. There is things in the works, I don't know when it'll be, where then if they can possibly, under their supervisor login, kind of go hit a button and go to their employee section, but that is not working today. Sweat Clock is in development of that. So right now, it is definitely 2 separate things.
Okay.
Okay. But that time off request, all that only works on the web portal. Okay. It doesn't work from the you can't request from the supervisor screen at all. Okay?
Okay.
Again, we've gone through this. The instructions here are really great. You can always go back and refer back to how to do something. But it's pretty easy, whether you've got pending, approved, rejected. Same thing here. The only things that are going to be listed here are previous pay period, current pay period, and any future requests that are out there. It just goes away from view, but you can always run a time off request report to get historical data. When you approve it, so when any of this gets automatically approved, an email goes back to the supervisor saying your time has been approved, and it also automatically puts that time onto the time card. Now, right here, because I made that change, it's showing an alert that this approval has been changed on the time card, and it got changed from 8 hours to 4 hours. Okay, so again, there's a paper trail, so to speak, for everything that's done in the system. Any questions about time off request? Okay, somebody said, can you please show us again how employees punch in and out? Okay, so an employee is going to go to our website. Y'all are going to be great at this, the ones that have been on here. To our website, performancepayroll.com. They're going to go to employee login. They can clock in and out right here. They can hit time card, and they can clock in and out right here, and that's going to get them to the web portal where I'm just going to view. We won't go over all this right now. We can talk about this later if you missed it. And you get into the web portal where they can clock in and out here as well, their time card, their request time off, and accruals report. And we're going to give you a document that you can hand out to people too.
Let me ask one other question. You probably brought this up on the first conference call that we had. In reference to the employee web portal, I know in the old system, usernames and passwords are set up for everybody in the old web clock system. Are we going to be using those same usernames and passwords?
Yes, all that got moved over.
Okay.
Yeah. Your supervisor login and your supervisor password, I think what Sandra's referring to, all came over. What I cannot do until you're in full-fledged mode, you're in what's called a testing mode right now, is I can't go change your rights as a supervisor so that you can do the things you need to do in the new system. So I will be doing that on Tuesday, and we asked the other group and would ask you all too, do not get in as a supervisor on Tuesday until Sandra tells you so that I can get those security rights set up for each of you individually. And then after she tells you, okay, guys, it's good to go in, you'll go in like you always have to your same login, your same URL. You go into the same login. And then when you get in there, you just need to very clearly look and see, am I missing somebody I'm supposed to be able to see, or do I see somebody that I'm not supposed to? And let us know so that we can fix those. They all should be right, but there may be one or two that gets kind of mixed because of the way we have to do the rights, and we'll have to go back in there and change some things, okay?
Catherine, this is Patty.
Yes.
Can I ask for some clarification on the PTO request?
Yeah.
As a supervisor, I just want to make sure I understand that I understand how to go in and request the PTO, and you have to do that under your user versus your supervisory.
Right.
The issue that I guess I have is that editing, you're saying that as a supervisor, I'm not going to be able to edit my own time anymore, and that will have to be done by my supervisor?
No. You will be able to edit your own time. You just have to do it under your employee login.
Okay, and will I still be, and so also my PTO, I'm assuming that my boss does not want to have to fix my time card. I'm assuming he's just going to want to be able to approve it. And so if I've requested 8 hours PTO and only used 4, I would like to be able to edit that where all he has to do is just say, yeah, he's okay with my time. And I thought I heard you say that we cannot do that, that our supervisor will have to make that modification.
Well, there's a difference in have to and want, first of all. If I'm back here on the time, if you have the ability to edit your time card, you can come in here and edit it.
Okay.
Okay. You can edit anything. I can't say you can edit this, but you can't edit that. It would be a company policy on your end on whether you want your supervisors to do that or you want the employees to do it. You know, the system will allow you to do it. You guys
Okay.
have to decide what you want and how you want to handle that. My point being is if you don't want them to do it themselves, and they do, you have a historical data that who did it, you know.
Right, right.
So, yeah, you can still do it. It's
Okay.
just company policy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that, Sandra, you can just say what our policy is, so I'll know.
Basically, right now, the way it's set up in the old system is we have certain people that are already set up that can actually make modifications and edit, and it will be those exact same persons moving over to the new system.
All right. So supervisors can adjust the PTO for themselves prior to sending it, you know, prior to their supervisor reviewing it.
Right, because you will have edit modifications.
Yep, I just wanted to get that cleared.
Well, and let me clarify a little bit more, because we talked about this in the last session. Everybody needs to request through the request option, because if you go and just add the time and then request, or then it could actually double. So that my suggestion is that everybody request through the system, like we, you know, go on the employee screen, do your request, send it, and let your supervisor approve it. Then if you need to modify it or edit it, then you can go in there as a supervisor and change it. But I would not just go add time to your time card without it going through that process. Is that right, Sandra?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Okay. Okay, there was a question. Does all the maintenance staff have a username and password? Everybody should. Well, are you talking about for supervisor or employee? Who asked
well, let me say this, Catherine. I think I can answer that for you. Every employee has a username and password to use the employee portal. What has happened is that they probably have not used those passwords in a long time, or just never ever used those passwords. And so once we get everything together, we will be providing those username and passwords to the regionals directors and the area managers.
Okay.
For their people.
Okay. Perfect. And then someone said if we use a swipe card, will we only use this for PTO? Yes, you are correct. If you are swiping, you will continue to swipe, and then you'll just go in there to request your time off or view your time card or that type of thing.
Now, Catherine, I do have a question since you said that. Is there going to be at any time where we're going to have upgraded clocks where they can actually request their PTO through that clock as well?
Not to my knowledge right now, no.
Okay.
But you can request, you know, anywhere you have internet access that you can get in here, you can request the time off. You don't have to be at work. I mean, I request on my my phone. I mean, you know, you can do that anywhere you can get on the internet to get there.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Okay, somebody, Yvette asked, with our swipe card, the supervisor's time card is not there. I'm not sure what you're asking. Does that make sense to you, Sandra?
I'm sorry, I had to step out for a minute because I really got another 3 o'clock appointment that I have to go to, but I'm asking for an extension of 10 minutes.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
we're almost finished. Somebody said with our swipe card, the supervisor's time card is not there. I don't know which.
Swipe. Okay, I'm not understanding either.
Okay, she said no time card is available to change. If you're swiping, if you're using a swipe card, probably you don't have the right to edit your time card, and so you will just view your time card.
I'm thinking it's the service coordinator, so service coordinator probably is asking that question. No, nope, I see who the person is. So she's saying no time card. What was I'm not understanding. No time card, what, no modifications or something?
Your name is not there.
Oh, she said my name is not there. Okay, I don't know who. I can't answer something because I'm not understanding what really they asked.
Well, her name isn't going to be there if what you said earlier is true, that when you log in as a supervisor, your name isn't going to be showing under your role.
Right.
Right. So if
Correct.
she happens to be a supervisor, her name isn't going to show up because she's not supervising. It's only going to be the
Herself.
people she's supervising.
Right. Right.
So she would have to log in under her username, her
Employee,
regular user, to get to get her information.
Correct. Yep. That's right.
Does that answer your question, Yvette?
Yeah. She said, okay, great. Perfect. Okay, we'll hurry along. I know we've been on here for a while. The other thing here are time cards. The yesterday's entries and today's entries are what used to be called multiple time cards in the old system. I would recommend to come to, when you come in every morning, go to yesterday's entries. You can quickly see what everybody did. Same color coordinated. Black means there's no activity. Red means there's a missing punch. Blue means there's activity and everything's good. It's a little bit simpler where, look, I came back in and I forgot, or this, I need to delete this punch. I edit it. I simply delete it, and it's gone. Okay? It's very simple. Again, I hover over. I see exactly who deleted it at what time, from what IP address. Everything's there. If I need to edit this one, I can edit it, and I can change something on it. I can add a punch if for some reason I need to. Say somebody was working from home and they couldn't get in and they wanted me to come in here and put a punch. I could put a punch in, and I had to hit save. So it's very easy to make changes. Blue means, you know, someone's edited a punch. Again, the history is there. This approval, which is the new added thing I talked about, some supervisors like to come in here and say, remember, this is all yesterday's time, and they like to view it and say, you know, it was Sunday. Yeah, those are the few people that worked. Absolutely, this is correct. And so they could come up here and approve all entries, meaning either you worked and your hours are right, or you didn't work, and so I'm going to approve all entries, and everything would go green. Okay, you can see everything went green. That's one way to do it. Today's entries, you could come in here and click on today, and now it says clocked in, which means I'm just working today. I didn't miss a punch. I'm just here. So that's a nice advantage here. But for people that have already gone, you may say, yeah, that's Sandra came in for a minute and left a minute. That's right. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to approve it. So I can do individual ones. I can do multiple ones at one time, like I know these people weren't working today, and I can do a couple of them at one time. Or I can do all of them, okay? The goal is when you get to a pay period, like the current pay period, a supervisor would like to come in here and see all their heads are green, so they know that their time for their employees have been approved. And when these heads turn green, the heads on the employee view turn green as well, okay? The difference between these heads being green, you know, if I come look, John agrees not green over here, this only turns green when the entire pay period has been approved. So if I come down to Catherine Daniels right here and say I had this whole pay period and I had approved the whole thing, but then I had made a change. Data has changed since it was been previously approved. So it's great. It gives you a notification that something's changed. Data has changed since we've been previously approved. So I know modifications were done, but I'm approving those. And then if you see up here in just a second, this is going to turn. See, it just turned green. See, that person turned green. So I know, as a quick viewer, Sandra knows Catherine Daniels' entire time card for this pay period is ready for her to process payroll. Anybody have any questions on approving time cards? Okay, somebody said under my supervisor name I have access to Aiken people. I don't show any of my maintenance guys. Your supervisor logins are not set up for the new system yet. That's what I was talking about. I can't change or modify those until we move you all from a testing situation to a permanent, you know, until you get to the new system. So your username and logins should be as they've always been in the old system, viewing who you normally see. We haven't altered any of that. Okay?
Okay, this is Patty. I have a question in reference to the approval process.
Sure.
As a regional, Okay, we have on-site managers who are supervisors of their employees that are on-site. So that she or he, whoever the supervisor is, would be approving their employees' time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the regional of the on-site manager would be approving that manager's time. And then you also have then next would be like a director. So all of those, like I have a view of all of those employees. How is there a way to view it where it's just my employees that I have to approve, that I can view those versus having to see everybody?
We can set your login up however you want it. A client level login means you're going to see everybody, like Cassandra will see everybody. But I can set you up with, the new system allows a lot more options for supervisor login. So you could go see, you could be set up, I want to see everybody where supervisor equals Catherine Daniels, or supervisor equals Sandra Aiken, or supervisor equals Taylor Davis. And then you're going to see those people. So there's lots of ways to set up supervisor logins to be more specific. If you really don't need to see these 25 people and you need to see these 75, we can figure out a way to sort it for you just
well,
to see
I still
those.
need to see all 75, but I only need to approve 25 of them. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, and I can do that as well.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah, and that's something Sandra and I can sit there and go through. She just needs to know what everybody wants.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah, I can do that. Again, same thing, everything's color coordinated. Blue means activity, black means no activity, red means a missing punch. You also can see here how many missing punches. John Bates has 3 missing punches, you know, to be able to see here. Let's go back to the main menu. If you do go to, like I'm in Catherine Daniels' time card, I always can come down and see what their balances are, what they've accrued off in the future, and what they really have left to ask off. Okay. The last thing I'm going to show you, this was what we talked about in the other group as well, is adding time. I told them that many times a client will come to me and say, can you put the holiday on for the year on everybody's time cards? I can, but the problem that comes up with that, if someone is hired after the date I put it on, then they won't get the holiday pay. And if I put the holiday pay on, but say I get fired or I leave on April 1st, well, I already have July 4th on my time card, and so that will be pulled in and get paid 8 hours for July 4th, even though I've been terminated. So what the best option for all supervisors to do is the pay period where the holiday is to go put the pay on whoever is eligible. You may have part-time people that aren't supposed to get the holiday pay, or you may have somebody that just started working that's not supposed to get it, and you all would know that better. The way, you can simply come in here and add on an individual's time card and pick holiday and put 8 hours, or put, that's the easy thing to do. That's just a little bit more time consuming. If you want to do it in a bulk, you can come here and put quick add time card. You can pick all the people you view. You can go pick specific people where you come here and pick active employees, and you would just highlight the ones you want to give holiday pay to. You can do it by groups. We can set up different groups. Then you pick what day. Say you're going to do it for President's Day, and you would change this to holiday, and then you would, then you would put 8 hours, and they would submit, and it would put 8 hours on everybody that you selected. Okay? So again, holiday pay for supervisors, individually do it during the pay period. You can pick individuals. You can pick all the people you see. You can do different amount of hours, but you pick the day, you pick the people, and you put it all on their time cards at one time. Any questions about that?
Because I'm actually due for another meeting right now. I do want to say to the team of folks, if you have any further questions or anything, just shoot me an email and I'll get with Catherine on it, and we'll provide an answer to you.
And because she and I have all week to get kinks figured out. Again, you're not going live until next Tuesday, so this is kind of a preview, but we're still in the system. We're still doing things. We just kind of want to give you the basics of what you're going to see and what's going to happen. Someone just asked me, is there a way I can look at last week's timesheet on the new system because I needed some errors corrected? You do not want to edit on the new system right now. Yes, you can. If you go to current pay period, or you could pick a pay period, you can go to previous pay period, you could go to Sandra Aiken, and you could go to the previous pay period or next pay period. So you can move around. But if you need to make edits, you need to go in, you know, the normal way you go in and change on the old system, not on the new system. Any other questions? Anybody? I'm going to wait a minute and just see if y'all have questions. I'll wait for you to type them up for me.